Welcome to the Knowles Development Podcast, an exploration in leadership development. I'm your host, Brad Knowles. Now let's dive in. Welcome to the Knowles Development Podcast, a little exploration here on leadership. And today is another one of our podcasts where we're going to have a guest with us. And our guest today is Woody Ritchey, somebody who's been a mentor for me in my life for a long time, former CEO of a number of companies. So we're absolutely blessed to have you here. Wood Ritchey, welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate the chance to be with everybody.
You bet. So today we're going to talk about, this is kind of a two-part series we're doing here on the podcast. And the first part is going to be talking about winning and why winning is important as a leader. And then if you get a lot out of this one, that's all right. We'll drag you down because we're going to talk about failure on the next one. So that'll be a lot of fun. But we'll stick with the happy stuff right now. So talk to us about winning. What do you see as a couple of the important things as a leader to ensure that the team is winning?
That's I think it's a much overlooked piece of leadership in that when wins come, we expect that everyone just kind of lives vicariously through that victory and or success. The reality generally is that it's so fleeting. Things happen and then the pace of our business moves on so fast. Right. And so I think the first piece that's really important is that you take a breath, pause, and bring forth to the organization even the smallest of wins and the smallest of successes. And they don't always have to be, tied to your market. Sometimes it's reorganization things or process improvements that you've done, because you're accentuating to your team that all of these aspects of our holistic aspect of running our business are important.
Right.
And so, and winning then becomes an expectation of an organization. When we win, and it could be as simple as thank you notes, simple as congratulatory, let's have pizza in the lunchroom. When you hit really big things and you've broken through some of your major metrics, as you could do this year or last year, given the markets, you have to really take a chance, because then that becomes a catalyst for you to create what I used to consider that organization that everyone wanted to be a part of.
Right. And
so when as you're looking to always bring new and improved talent, so always getting the best player for the positions, you want to have an opportunity to blow the horn a little bit, because nothing attracts successful people like success. They don't want to come, you think in the sports analogies. I watch, the NFL off and on, and I don't know if people are, look at the Patriots this year, a big difference from the years when Brady was there. But I saw two teams, the Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Lions. The Lions, by the way, have yet to win a game.
Right.
But they had 2 years ago, quarterback from the Rams, and they traded quarterbacks. Stafford went to the Rams are on top of the division. The Lions with this great quarterback. Do you really think Jared Goff wanted to go to the Lions?
Right.
I'm sure his supporting cast, and that's another aspect of this and it's not an arrogance thing about organizations. It's really a kind of a depiction of, we want everyone to realize their best potential. And you can do that here at the firm. And you can achieve your personal goals and your professional goals. And then people see that, because our lives are so intertwined in our jobs and personal, that they like to see bleed over. That, it's a discussion we've had in the past with some of the organizations. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want to be the best father, the best partner, the best employee, the best leader you could possibly be. And so, you get that chance to do that when you can bring forth a winning platform and let people see it, and the invigoration that it can bring as someone that's part of that.
I love it. So let's dive a little bit deeper into it, because the three big things that stood out to me in that conversation are, when the team's winning, whether it be small or large, you got to take a moment and celebrate it. And I know that's one of the blind spots for me as a leader. Like, you work so long to get somewhere that by the time you get there, like, you're 3 chapters into the next thing you're working hard on. You're not really pausing to to celebrate the wins. Number 2 was just the attraction piece that can happen, how the team can become that much stronger because we're winning, because now there's great talent out there that wants to be a part of winning organization. And then the last part is that personal and professional development through success. So talk to me about how in some of your organizations you've celebrated. And I'd love to hear 3 little versions quick, and I'm putting you on the spot. When an individual had a win, how have you celebrated that with them? You know what I mean? They went through a breakthrough kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And then maybe a team within an organization has a win. Again, it's not like, hey, we hit our numbers for the year kind of a thing, but like they a real win happened for them. And then maybe kind of some of the bigger scale stuff.
Okay. When you get to be this age, you have a lot of experience to reflect upon. And so I'm drawing deep from the recesses of my mind.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the recesses of the dark places of my mind.
That's right.
But I think back to my days as an executive at AT&T. And this was not in the long distance side. Everyone always thinks long distance.
Right.
This was on the equipment side of their division, or their operation, which wasn't the big piece of the pie, but it was, we were competing against IBM and in those days DEC and Wang and everybody else as the market went. And I can remember, for an individual, names obviously aside, that we had made a significant sale to the then Commonwealth of Pennsylvania regarding a displacement of an existing legacy system for word processing. Now, this goes so far back that people that maybe are, approaching my age might remember it.
Right.
But this was long before laptop computers and word processing on your Mac or your Intel machine. And so it was he made a sale, and the significance of it that we brought forth was 2 things. One is it was about persistence. It was about this grittiness and staying because you think about who you're competing against. Sometimes we take wins as yay. Well, sometimes you're playing against Goliath, and to win in that. And so we made it a point in that we pulled everybody into the conference room. We didn't even give anything out to that individual, but I wanted to make the point of accentuating all the aspects that contributed to that win. And those 2 things I just hit on: persistence and grittiness. And then the third really was, I think, stellar professionalism, meaning when we hit the hardest parts of our job, that we keep our head up, our eye focused on the goal. And they were the things that I was kind of portraying to the organization, that I wanted them to understand. And this, by the way, wasn't one of our top salespeople.
Right.
He was he was a run-of-the-mill guy that did his job every day. And so for the rank and file, I thought it was important that they hear from the leadership and have a chance, by the way, to live, the word I use, vicariously in his success as well. Because now, if Woody can do it, we can all do it.
Right, and anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. It always looks easy. So I hope that it's bringing up characteristics of the sale, not just the sale.
That's exactly it for me. Is I took some notes myself, and it was taking time to celebrate the traits that led to the success, the persistence, the grittiness, the showing up every day and just doing it. That stuff, because it's very, it's the stuff that grinds you down. Oftentimes, right? It's the wave hitting the rock every day, right? That grinds it down. Not one particular wave, but it also is the piece that I think that inspires people who are in the moment struggling to go, oh, wait a minute, those are all things I can do too, right? Yeah. I can choose to make one more follow-up call. I can choose to ask for the sale one more time. Be a little bit more proactive. And like you said, the professionalism throughout the process, not just at moments, but just throughout the process.
And if I could just interject something that I think we all fall prey to, is it looked easy. It can't be that hard. And you know, because you know this, your organizations go through this all the time. All of your, you know, in the real estate business, it's actually a process.
Right.
It isn't just, hey, we show up, we show houses and yay. No, you're helping to help people envision what they could be living in and help them to achieve a dream and do all those things. Well, but you can't just, it's just not just showing up and, you know, hey, I got the MLS, here we go. No, it's a lot more important than that. And it's a very tough market. So anyway, I think that's another important aspect of it.
I love it. Early in the pandemic, we had one of our agents was sharing a story, and, you know, because it was a challenging time to get people to, you know, feel comfortable doing major transactions like real estate. And he had shared on a call we were doing how 12 years of follow-up with a person was finally leading to a listing. 12 years.
That makes
quick and easy, right?
My persistence thing sound very trite. You know?
That's right.
No, that's persistence on a, you know, Rasputin level kind of a thing.
Right.
Let me just, if I could, and I don't want to take us down that rabbit hole, but you made a comment about during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I have a very dear friend who's a PhD behavioral psychologist who's done leadership with all my transformation with all my organizations over the years, Dr. Larry Liberty out of Sacramento. And Larry and I spoke this week and just on touch and base, how you doing? You know, and he said, this is the most difficult time I have ever seen for coaching and leading right now. There are so many crises in our lives right now that it's almost, you know, smothering. People are, you know, you have COVID. You have inflation now, you know, the uncertainty of what's going to happen in the markets with the interest rates and all those things. You can have, you know, personal situations with health that aren't COVID related. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow of a dear friend who passed away from cancer at 43.
Right.
And so you look at life in its continuum, and it's at least my view of things of you don't live a segmented life.
Right.
You live a blended life of your professional and personal, and they bleed into each other a lot. And so I think it's all the more reason to take time to celebrate and recognize people, because in the big picture, I think there's a lot of things going on that we just don't know. And you know, behind the curtain, we really don't.
Yeah. I'm going to use that to spill into our kind of topic two there of using the winning to help people with their personal and professional development. And I think you just said it, which was, you know, you could have people within your organization that are really struggling. And you know, depending on your relationship, you may or may not know the depth of it or whatever. And taking the time to recognize somebody's efforts, taking the time to recognize, you know, their contribution to the team, that kind of a thing, can really, you know, it could be something that really lifts somebody up for days, weeks, months. You know what I mean? While the world's kind of pushing them down.
And it really is overlooked, I think, and it kind of also then, you know, when people outside an organization, and let's go back to one of our earlier topics, which is, you know, that attractive place I would like to be. What's going on over there in that company? Why? Everyone seems to be having a great time doing it, and they're winning. And so there, you know, there's that aspect of it too, that, well, they took time, or you took time as a leader in the most simple ways of just bringing people together and wanted to say thank you to John, did a great job. Just let me point out some of the aspects. People, and you know this, it's that 6 degrees of separation kind of an approach in our industry, and especially in the real estate. People talk to each other.
Yeah.
Gee, did you see who just went over there? Oh my heavens! You know, top producer. So I think that's another aspect of this to do for people, because you know, it passes so fast. You said it earlier. Success.
One of the pieces that's standing out in my head is, I know we've had people join our company and just asking them, and hey, why, you know, what ultimately helped you decide to join us? And we've literally had people say that. It's like, Well, every time I deal with somebody from here, they're always so happy, right? They're enjoying what they're doing. Listen, their kids are pains in the butt, just like my kid. Like, I mean, it's like the life stuff's the same, but the attitude, right?
Yeah.
The approach,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. And I think as a leader, just putting a bow on it, if we take time to help celebrate the wins, whether they be small ones or big ones, really helping people understand what their personal contribution was to that win, that really can act like a buoy for them. And there's all sorts of wonderful benefits from that.
Yeah, you don't know what carries people through to the next level of achievement. You just don't.
Right.
And so you have to take every opportunity to, pump up their sneakers sometimes, not to sound trivial about it, but it really is important.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So we're going to pause there, and thank you everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. Tune in next week, because we're going to have the same conversation, only the opposite side of the coin. We're going to have a conversation around failure, those lost opportunities, and how we as leaders need to also, value those, get the lessons out of them, and really make the most of those as well. So Woody Ritchey, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
You're welcome, Brad. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.